For our next assignment, we're going to be doing a pop can progression drawing. If you have a pop can at home, it will be really helpful. Then you have an actual visual, so you can actually have it and you can turn it around and look at it. But the idea is you're going to be drawing a pop can in progressions of 5 different drawings, showing it from completely full down to crushed. And so I'll show you an example. It starts with a basic pop can. The idea is we're going to make it 3-dimensional and do shading. If you have pop cans or a can of some sort that has lots of details, they tend to be a little bit easier to do as opposed to something that's like gray or silver. The second one, it shows that it's crushed just a little bit, and I will show you here in a minute how we're going to make it so it looks like it's kind of indenting like that. The next one is obviously crushed a little bit more, and then crushed further, and then the farthest one is crushed down, not all the way, but very close. So the first thing we're going to do is draw out the pop can. The best way to do it is try to show it so it's a little bit angled like this. It's going to help you a little bit with your drawing portion. And so you start with an oval of the pop can, and you're going to make the outside edges, like this little lipped edges of it. You can also put in the pop top, so you can see what that looks like. From the outside edges, it comes down a little ways, and then it has a curve, and then it will come down even farther. One of the things you want to keep in mind is when you're drawing the pop can, you're probably going to want to draw it very close to the same size as an actual pop can. If you try to draw it too small, you won't have any room for the details, and then too large, it tends to be kind of hard to do the coloring portion. So down here, what you'll do is you can round the edges. One of the biggest mistakes people will make is they'll make the bottom part straight. If you make it rounded, it'll look a little bit more 3-dimensional, it'll look more realistic. Now, for the details that you have on it, if you are doing, obviously, pictures, you can draw out the pictures, and keep in mind this is a rounded object, so it'll be a little bit more rounded. So that would be where the cherry would be. And then the lettering, what I usually do is I'll make a mark how big each of the lettering needs to be. So this is where the diet part will go, and this is where the Pepsi will go. One of the easiest things too is if you can turn it, when you go to do your lettering, if you write it regular, just with regular letters, and then you can go through again and you can make them bubble letters. So once I have my letters like this, what I can do is go around them, and I can all of a sudden make it bubble letters. Try to stay within the same type of font as the actual picture is too, if you can. I know some of these can be kind of difficult. And then that way all of your lettering is evenly spaced, and you'll be able to do all of your bubble letters so it looks much more professional than if you were trying to just wing it and draw it out by yourself. Okay, you can turn it back over again. You can always erase your guidelines if you need to. And then obviously you're going to add in the other parts. So for example, here it shows coming down like this. It kind of comes up over here. There's this extra part that changes in color a little bit, right through here. And then I have another cherry. Okay. So the main idea is to get the actual drawing of it done. The next part will be drawing your next one, which is going to be crushed a little bit. Keep in mind you don't want to crush it too much too fast, otherwise you won't have anything to draw at the end. So just a slight crush on there will be helpful. Now the way to be able to draw it when it's crushed is you start off with the top of it again. So I'm going to draw out the top again. Try to keep them kind of the same size, otherwise it starts to look kind of weird. Whoops, pop top again. And then when I go to draw this one, here I'm going to start changing the shape of it a little bit. So here on the sides of it, it kind of goes in a little. I'm going to draw it so it goes in a bit. Still rounded at the bottom. And then on this side, instead of going in, it kind of goes out a little. So I'm going to make it go out a little bit. And then all of the spots that get crushed in the middle, you're going to make a line to show you on here where it's going to go. So here would be one here, which is this one. And then you have another one like right here. And then also I can add one in here if I want to because of the sides. Now, when you go to make the drawings, what's going to make it look like it's three-dimensional or that it's crushing is the way you turn the letters. So if I go to write in diet, and I do it this way, so here's the diet part. That part would look regular. And then here, like if this is where the line is coming where it shows that it's bending, now mine is a little bit different than that, but what you can do is you can alter it so it looks like it's over a little bit, and that's gonna make it look like there's a bend. So here you can see it looks like it's bending or it's shifting. Same thing for the Pepsi. If I did Pepsi, the top of the P here, and then I made the bottom part, I could move it over this way if I wanted to. And then that will show you it looks like it's bending. Okay, once you have that done, you're gonna go on to your third crush. So crush it more. Try not to draw the side that has all of the nutrition facts because those tend to be kind of hard to kind of fill in. And obviously you can crush more. Be careful when you're crushing it so that the edges don't get too sharp and they cut you because they can be really sharp. All right, so when I go to do my coloring, I don't want to color just super lightly around the edges of this just to have it super light. I want it to be dark and bold in my colors. So for example, if I was doing the cherry, I would push really hard. Now you can outline these if you'd like. Sometimes they turn out a little bit nicer if you use an extra fine point Sharpie. But when you go to color these, don't just use one color. So here I have red, but maybe what I'd like to do is add a little pink to it on the other side so it'll look a little bit more three-dimensional and it'll give it a little bit more depth to it. So even though it's not necessarily the actual color, from a distance, it will look more like a three-dimensional object as opposed to something kind of flat. Same with lettering, or on the edges of the can, you would do darker on the edges, and then as it gets to the middle, it's going to get lighter. You'll notice too on the pop can, there's spots where the light's hitting it, where you have white spots. And so on here, a lot of times they shoot right down like this. So I could have, this could all be blue, so say my pop can is blue. It could be lighter here, super dark on the edges. And then I could leave a spot. And if I have that spot going all the way down, it's going to look like there's like a light hitting it in that angle. And it'll give it more of that three-dimensional look. Same with the pop can too, you're going to use more than one color, so I can mix colors with it. Now even though the pop can isn't probably blue, I could mix some green in there, just so that I have a little bit darker shades around the corners. It gives a little bit more depth to it and dimension. So even here, it adds just a little bit of variation. So the idea is you need to draw a pop can progressing 5 different times. Everything should be somewhat the same size as the pop can. And as you go through, the coloring is the key. If you don't color it in using the color blending, it's not going to look three-dimensional and you're not going to get a good, accurate end result.